Welcome to our New Year's Eve non-duality meeting. Julia, Anita, Carolina, Tasha, Liz, Michael, Sheila, Zoran, Heyman, Chris, Tas, Ross, Mitra, Jason, and Bob.
Okay. Hi, everyone. For the meeting that wasn't going to happen, there's a big turn up, isn't there? And the joyousness is emanating from each and every one of you. It's terrific. It's catching. A lot of people in the world wouldn't be so happy today. Some of you here mightn't be quite as happy as others for things that are going on. But catch the drift. The life that's expressing through it all. And it is catching. Because it's all the one life. It's the one love. It's the one essence. And each and every one of you are that. Don't forget it. Forget the idea of the separate entity, the individual that's suffering because of this and because of that. Because, a cause. When you realise there can't be an effect without a cause, stop relating to the cause. And the effects might drop away. So, and recognise you cannot stop being. There's nobody who is not being right now. There's no one who is unaware of that beingness. Well, as I say, the silence is there as soon as the sound stops, isn't it? Yeah, what's that song say? You raise me up when I am here and sitting in the silence until you come and spend a while with me. And in the recognition of that, it does raise you up. Because when you look at it and understand what they're saying, they talk about the basic space of phenomena. The base of all phenomena is space. There is nothing you can postulate and think of that can be outside of space. And so everything, and you're a thing, I'm a thing, the tree's a thing, the flower's a thing, the planets and stars and all this manifestation are things. And there's nothing that you can conceptualise or postulate or think of that to be outside of that space. Space is no thing. You can't find a centre to it. You can't find a beginning to it, any boundaries to it whatsoever. It is no thing, yet everything appears. And that's why they call it the basic space of phenomena. All this manifestation is a phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomena is that which appears to be. So you and I and everything else in this manifestation are appearance only. There's still the one life, the one essence, the one God, or the one entity that patterns, shapes and forms, experiences and expresses as everything. And that's the amazing intelligence and wonderment of it all. It can vibrate and express into every different pattern, shape and form. But we take the pattern, shapes and forms to be separate, purely and simply because we learnt words. How many words were you born with? And you realise you weren't born with any words at all. You didn't learn words till you were about 9 months or 2 years old, somewhere around that age, when the capacity of reasoning develops into you. At that time, the little child's got no words, yet you're hearing, you're seeing, you're functioning. And where did you begin before that? You'll say, I was born. But you can't remember your birth. People say they remember their birth. They can't. How could you remember your birth if you didn't have any words? How could you say anything about it at all if you had no words? And you didn't learn any words, still your parents fussing around you, told you little Johnny or little Billy or little Jean, whatever your name might be, and you learnt words like I and me, and then you didn't investigate it, so we say, I am so-and-so. I am little Jean or little Jane or whatever your name might be. Instead of recognising I am the Absolute. Because that's what we point to in the scriptures. Non-duality. One without a second, not two. The one essence that vibrates, patterns, expresses and experiences in every pattern, shape and form in this manifestation. But the pattern, shapes and forms are not the real. They're only appearance, phenomenal. Liken it until the movie screen. You look at the movie screen, you see the movie going on. It could be cowboys and Indians or something like that, and people are getting killed, dragged around, hurt or loving or doing all sorts of things in the movie. When the movie's over, have a look at the screen. Has it been corrupted or contaminated or touched in any way, shape or form? It hasn't. The movie's played on it and been there seemingly real, disappeared, and the screen is still as it was, complete. The same with this, the screen of presence awareness. It's not even like the movie screen, it's less than that. It's no thing in which everything appears in. You get people like Nisargadatta will tell you there's no thing that can trouble you except in your own imagination. Break that word imagination down to imagine. And we're creating all these conceptual or mental images, taken to be real and missing out on the truth. We've got this image, we are this person, this body, mind, entity. But you look in the mirror, what do you see? You see a reflection in the mirror or an image. You can't say it's not there, but go and try and pull the image out of the mirror or the reflection out of the mirror. You can't, because there's nothing there. It appears to be there. And while we believe it's there, it takes to be real. The same with this. This conceptual image we have about ourselves, which suffers, fears, anxious, depressed, guilty, jealous, envy, all these concepts appear on and take to be real and cause all this psychological suffering, all to an imaginary cause, me, this body-mind. Where did you begin if you think you are this body? You say my body. You say my coat, my car, my house. Are you the car? You're not the car. You're not the house. You're not the coat, my car. You're not any of those my things. Maybe you're not the body either. When you look into it, what's the body made up of? You see, the body's made up of elements: air, earth, fire, water, space. Just the same as the elements around you. Separate yourself from the air. Stop breathing. See how long you last without that elements. Take the fire, the body temperature. You soon get hypothermia. Stop drinking water or eating. You starve. Get off the earth if you can. Get out of space. Separate yourself from space if you can. You can't. So you realise that all this body can be broken down into subatomic particles, and those subatomic particles can be broken down into pure energy. As Einstein told you, that all this manifestation is a vibrating pattern of energy. And that's all this body is, a vibrating pattern of energy. What about this thing called mind? My mind. So my mind, we take this my mind. Show me your mind. Show me such a thing. Is there such a thing as you can say as mind? And you realise there's no such thing as mind apart from thought. And what is thought? Thought's word. What's word? Sound. What's sound? A vibration. What's a vibration? A movement of energy. So this body-mind is just a vibrating pattern of energy which we take to be real because we have never investigated it. And that's what they tell us in the scriptures. The false cannot stand up to investigation. And we need to look and see whether it is false or not, because they tell us, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It's the truth will set you free, not the belief in something, Not the thinking that you'll get to it for doing this and doing that. It's seeing through the belief. When you look in the dictionary, look up the word belief and see what the definition of belief is. An unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. The reason we've taken these things on without reasoning and without recognising, taking it to be true that I am so-and-so, I am this person, I am this body, I am Bob, the Australian, the good fella, without questioning it. When I look into it and question it and see that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not this person, I am the life itself. As the Christ told you, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He's not talking about himself. He was talking about that sense of presence that expresses as the pattern, shape and form. That is the way, that is the truth, that is the life. And the Nisargadatta will tell you, it says that there is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. It's not the body that's living the life. It's not the mind that's living the life. It is the life itself that's forming and expressing through the body and the mind. They're the pattern, shapes and forms it expresses through, just the same as it expresses through the sun, the moon, the stars, the planet, the space itself. Is nothing but that life. The one essence that pattern, shapes and forms experiences expressing is everything, and the no thing also. There is no separation, there's no duality in non-duality. It appears in its opposite, as Shakespeare told you 300 or 400 years ago when he says there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Have a look at your thinking, see how you're functioning. You're either in the past, which is memory, or the future, which is anticipation and imagination, or somewhere within that range. And within that range, it's always dividing into the opposites. It's good, it's bad, it's pleasant, it's painful, happy, sad, high, low, far, near, this, that, always in the opposites. But the problem is we've separated the opposites. We believe they're two different things, but not they're two ends of the one stick, two sides of the one coin. Take day and night. Here it's daylight right now. Why? Because the earth rolling around the sun, and this part of the earth is facing towards the sun. And so it's exposed to the light of the sun. So it's light, that's what you call daylight. And the other side of the earth, it's dark because it's facing away from the sun. It's obscuring the sun. Does the earth know anything about daylight and dark? It doesn't. Does light know anything about daylight and dark? It doesn't. But it happens in the pairs of opposites. But it's still always and only the one essence. It can't be divided. So the same with this thinking. I think I, you, this, that, me, the dividing always in the opposites, but recognise it's all the one essence. And in realising that, just the sun will continue to keep rolling around the earth, and this part that is light will become dark. And the dark part is dark now will become light. Well, the good, instead of trying to get rid of the good, which we do, the bad, which we do, and have it the good, it'll change by itself because they're not divided. We don't allow it to happen, and we fight with it, and then that's constant conflict with it. Conflict is disease, it's uneasiness when you're in conflict with something. Something comes up, you like it. Not realising no matter how you like it or how much you love it, it's going to change because this manifestation is constantly changing. It's transient. You haven't got the same body you woke up with this morning or walked into this room with a few minutes ago. It's changing right now. There are thousands of cells dying in it right at this moment and being replaced. You don't even know anything about it. But put it under a microscope or go and get the doctors and that to look at it, they'll tell you it is so. It's changing. Thousands of cells are dying in it right at this moment and being replaced. And each cell knows what to do. A skin cell will not replace a heart cell, or a heart cell will not replace a brain cell. It can't. It's each cell, and it's suffused with intelligence. It knows what to do. How do you come about? If you don't realise, you go back as far as your father and your mother, that animating life essence in your father. that pure intelligence energy or life force. In that pattern, through the food he's eaten, the prana and the air he's breathing and the things like that are going on, enabled in that pattern a little microscopic particle called a sperm to form. You can't see it with your naked eye. That sperm was suffused with life, intelligence, it knew what to do. It attached it swam to the ovum, and the same with in the mother. That life essence in your mother enabled in that pattern a little microscopic particle called an egg or an ovum to form. That ovum attached itself to the wall of the uterus, and the sperm swam to the ovum, both proving that they were suffused with that life, intelligence, energy. And when they came together and mingled, what happened? It doubled that little blob of goo, doubled and doubled again. It formed the little embryo, the little fetus, which is what you are today. What are you doing about it then? What are you doing about it now? We take the idea we're doing something about it, but it's happening itself. What's about this breath you just took? What did you just think? I'm going to take another breath? Or I'm going to expand my heart? Or is it happening spontaneously, naturally and effortlessly? If we've taken on this idea, when we learn words like I and me, that I am the life itself. I, and parents told you little Johnny or your little Billy. Instead of questioning it, we take on I am little Billy or little Jane. Form the concept or the image. And everything is related to that image. So all our problems are problems of relationship. Relationship is relativity, dualism. And what we're pointing to is non-duality. One without a second, not two. And that's all it is. It's the one universe, the one intelligence energy, the one life that is patterning, shaping, forming, and experiencing, expressing as everything. And we've taken on this idea that you're a separate entity and look at the problems that's causing in the world. It's only me that can be fearful. It's only me that can be anxious. Only me that can be unhappy or depressed, guilty, jealous or envy. Me is the cause of all my psychological suffering, the anxiety, the fear, the stress. The effects are the anxiety, the fear, the stress, the guilt. Cause and effect. Duality. What if you ask a simple question and recognise that me is the cause? The believed in me, the energy of belief going into this idea that I'm the separate is the cause. It's only me that can be fearful. And the effects are the anxiety, the stress. And ask the simple question. If I'm not relating to a cause, if I see that the cause is false, what can I relate to? I can't relate to anything. It's just as it is. Well, where's all this suffering going to go then? And you can see we're suffering. Everybody is suffering because they want something from somebody else, instead of recognising that it is absolute. It is the great perfection or the absoluteness. What can you add to absolute? Not a thing. It wouldn't be absolute. What can you take away from absolute? Nothing whatsoever. And if they recognise that I am the absolute, and you can't go around telling people you are that, or they'll put you in a funny farm, but you've got to recognise it yourself and see that you are that pure life essence, intelligence, energy. If you are the absolute, who can be superior to you? There's nothing other than the absolute. Nobody can be superior to you. Who can be inferior to you if you are there? Nobody's. So this disappears for a start. If no one's superior, no one to inferior, and what would I want from somebody else? Nothing. Things will happen. Things will come about by themselves, and they do. Take no thought for your life, as Christ told you in the Sermon on the Mount. Look at the birds in the air. They don't gather into barns or reap. The lilies in the field. Even Solomon in his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? You can't make yourself an inch taller by thinking about it. Know that the Father knoweth you have need of these things, and it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So the Father is not some big daddy up in the sky, but is that very life, that one intelligence energy that's rolling the earth around the sun, causing the seasons to come and go, that's beating your heart, going your hair and nails, growing your fingernails, digesting your food. It is the very life of you and there is only life. As Nisargadatta says, there is only life. There is no body who lives a life. Life lives on life. And out of life, more life comes. Isn't that so? You came from the life of your parents. Where do they come from? The life of their parents. And where do they come from? The life of their parents. Trace it back and see there's no life. No death whatsoever. What is all? It's the basic space, they say, of phenomena. Basic is the base. The thing that everything begins in. Space. Can you find a centre to space? You can't. Can you find a boundary to space? You can't. It's got no centre, no circumference, no static shape or form, because it can't be separated. It is no thing. You and I are things, the tree, the flower, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, are all things. And there is nothing you can postulate or think of. There's no thing you can think of that can be outside of space. What would it be in? But if space is no thing, can something come from no thing? It can't. So though we take it to be real, and it seems to be real, it seems to be solid and substantial, it is no thing. You and I, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, are no thing. Appearing, or seemingly so, because they call it a phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomena is that which appears to be. And appears means it's only seemingly so. Look outside now, go down to the ocean, you'll see what you call a blue sea. Is the sea blue? It's not. It never was, never will be, but it appears to be. The sky on a clear day, there's a blue canopy over it. It appears to be a blue sky. Is the sky? Go up into space. Sky is space. Go up thousands of feet in the plane. Does it get blue? No, it doesn't. You're in space right now. Where's the blueness? It's not there. All the other what do they call them, concepts they have about pointing out the reality. The snake in the rope. When they pointed out, you see there's no snake in the rope. Bloke steps out of his cabin on a wet night, and it's been raining and wet, and there's a piece of wet rope outside, and he steps on it and it rolls under his feet. And you immediately think he's trod on a serpent. And his hair stands on end, the goosebumps arise and the fear, and he feels the poison running through him, and he's taken into it. A hell of a sensation of thing going on, because he's taken on the belief that he's trodden on a snake. Somebody comes out and shines a torch on it, it's only a piece of wet rope. There's immediate sense of relief there, because it's recognised and the truth is seen. But we've got all these beliefs we've taken on. Have a look at them, myriads of them there. Believe the earth is flat, people believed in the old days. Who'd believe it today? You believe in this and that and all sorts of other things. When you investigate, the belief is not the reality. And try and negate your beingness. Try and you say, I am not. They call it Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, Rupa in the scriptures. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss or loving to be. Nama, Rupa is body, mind. They say Nama, Rupa is illusion, it's Maya. This body, mind is illusion. They're telling you that, and we don't notice it. It's before our very eyes all the time, and we miss it. It's there, we don't see it. And that's why they call it ignorance. Not that we're dull or stupid, but it's there before our eyes, we don't notice it, we ignore it. And some people come here and hear it, they don't hear it for a while, and then suddenly it'll dawn on them and they'll recognise, shit, that's how it is. That's the same as it was here. I heard for years and years that I was this, believed I was this, but I was that, the great mantra. That's a lot of crap, I didn't believe it at all. But one day when I finally got to Nisargadatta and heard it, it resonated. And the saying, know the truth and the truth will set you free, became the reality. In knowing that, it was the reality. And it's been like that ever since. It's clear. As it goes on, it gets clearer and clearer. All the old thoughts, ideas and concepts can no longer be believed in. A little bit of question, a little bit of investigation, and they tell you the false cannot stand up to investigation. And it's true. Are you this body? You say, my body. When you recognise you're not the body, you're not the mind, where does that leave you? I am present and aware. Anyone can say they are not present right now, or not aware. You're unaware. You're existing, aren't you? You're conscious, you're not unaware, and you're happy to be. That's it. That's it. Oh yeah, that's a good one, but I'll go and have a look and try and find it. Bloody ridiculous. And it goes on until you realise that's true. There's nothing further to do. Just relax into it. Relax and be. And being is not wasing. And it's not what will be. Being is right now. Being. And you call yourself a human being. Believe in God, you'll call God the Supreme Being. What happens if you take that word supreme away? Take the word human away. Now try and tell me you're not being. No one's jumping up and saying, I'm not being. Why? Because you know damn well you can't negate that beingness. Can't say I am not. You can say it, but you know it'll be a lie. Because the sense of well-being is there. Being well at that, not being a poor, miserable human as we think. That's what they call it, being well, well-being. Being, knowing and loving to be. It's there in each and every one of us. And a lot of you here have recognised that. And you wouldn't come to this. You'd be staying in the old scriptural statements and looking, trying to become something. And that's what's happened. We try to become realised, become liberated, become free. But becoming implies a future time. It's not being. So you can never become anything, because when you investigate time, you'll see that time itself is a mental concept. Have a look at it. Is there a past if you don't think about it? Well, to do that, you need to pause the thought and say, what can I say about the past without a thought, or the future without a thought? And you realise you can't say anything without a thought. But you'll say, I was in the past. Well, try and live yesterday. Try and live a moment ago. You can't relive yesterday a moment. You can recall some of it. Only what you can recall has any reality about it. What you don't recall is gone forever. You can't remember your birth. You can't remember a lot of things that happened to you in childhood. Certain things you can remember, but when they're forgotten, they're gone for good. And you can't live in the future. You don't know what you're going to do when you leave here. You can anticipate and imagine what you're going to live, but you'll never live in the future. What you're anticipating in imagination when it happens will be the real. And it'll be the spontaneous immediacy of this present moment, just like that breath you just took. Spontaneously and fresh and new. It wasn't the same as the last breath or the breath before. The air you've taken in is fresh and new. And the air you're breathing out is gone. Gone for good. The heart's beating the same. Fresh and new. And everything is fresh and new. Nothing old. Time is a mental concept. So you can't live in the past, you can't live in the future. You can anticipate and imagine. And what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? Well, if we're not thinking about it, you can't say it's good, bad, pleasant, painful, or anything. But you can put a lot of concepts, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and to anticipate and imagine all sorts of things. And as Shakespeare told you years ago, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And it's only the thinking we put into it that's causing all our problems. Doesn't mean to say you're not going to think, but realise that what your next thought's going to be you don't know. I ask many people that, what's your next thought going to be? You'll say, I don't know, and you don't. But the thought will come up, what do? You'll immediately grasp it. I think this thought. And as soon as you grasp it as I think, what have you done? You've formed a thinker, a subject. The thought I think has become the thinker. And the subject has become what you're thinking. So subject-object thinking is duality. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, being, knowing, and loving to be. It's all happening. But the I is a conceptual image. The I is not doing anything at all. It's just a thought or a word. And the word I think cannot think. The word I see cannot see. It's the very life essence that's enabled these things to happen, to appear. And there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. When you recognise and know the word is not the thing, you can use the word, but know the truth. And that's the statement, know the truth and the truth will set you free. Free of the belief that you are this person. And that's what goes along, that's what's happening and continues to happen. But in the recognition that you are that life itself, you are that space-like awareness, as Isaiah tells you in the Bible. Isaiah says, be still and know that I am is God. The thought is not the thing. But that thought is the sense of presence. And the knowing that sense of presence which is expressed as a thought I am, that's the expression or the knowing of it is the godliness of you. The intelligence energy, the activity of knowing. That's what intelligence energy is. This pattern manifestation is an intelligent manifestation. It's not an accidental happening, not willy-nilly. Have a look out of it. See, it's all happening intelligently. Intelligence is knowing. And knowing, U-I-N-G, is an activity. And any activity is a movement of energy. So I don't use the term God, I use the term intelligence energy. Because we get confused with that term God. It tells you in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. That's all that God is the Word. All things were made by Him, and that's the fact. Everything you ever said or likely to say is a word. There was nothing made that was made without the Word. All things were made. And God is a Word, and the words we use we believe to be God. But it's not. It is the life essence itself, the intelligence energy, the living, the breathing, the heartbeat, the activity of knowing. Life itself. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. That's what Christ tells you. And it's so. And Nisargadatta says there is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. Life lives on life. And out of life more life comes. As we pointed out before, there you began. You came from that life. Know it for certain. And there'll be a damn big change come about. It did come. It has come here and it continues to grow. Doesn't mean to say that this body's going to last forever, but it does mean to say, where's it going to go? It came from out of the basic space of phenomena. Where can it go? What came out of space can only go back into space, because space is all there is. But that space will never be the same pattern come out of it again. There's that many different pattern shapes and forms can come out of it. So Nisargadatta tells you are dreaming a dream you call the world. He says stop looking for ways out. The dream's not your concern. Your concern is to love one part of the dream and not the other. He's to love all of it, or none of it. And this is a beautiful thing he says, then the rest will be done for you. And that's a fact, or the same thing that brought you into existence. What did you do about being born or coming about? Nothing. What are you doing about growing that body and living it? Nothing. The things that are being done, you need to will come up in that talent, in that life, and you'll do them or not do them. But it's not the personal doership that does anything. Get out of the road and let it happen. And you'll be amazed at what happens, what comes into place. Doesn't need to say it'll be smooth sailing all the time. But there is nothing to fear, no one to fear. And it'll express and play around. But there again, if you're absolute, a lot of these worrying about concern for this, that and the other will disappear. Because you know everything will take care of itself. And you might be taking part in that and helping take care of it. But it happens. So that's all to be pointed out. And some of you here, as I say, know that. You can tell it in your words where somebody else might hear it in a different way to what I do and might resonate with them and do it. And others might have questions. And the fact that you're all here means that you're not happy with the way things are in the old way, that you're a sinner, you're this evil person, you've got to realise there's got to be more to it than that, and you've got to do this and do that, meditate and try and become all mental stuff that takes you nowhere but keeps you in the concepts. And realise and recognise your true nature and see that it happens by itself. Away you go.
Are you always that fiery, Bob?
Who cares?
We got a few nice contributions from our online community, so welcome again everyone, and we have over 20 people with us. And Catherine says, Bob, what happens if someone you trust unconditionally has told you of out-of-body experience and yet you yourself have never had a similar experience? Why do some people have experiences that cement non-duality and others are denied this? I don't mean denied really, because this denotes a person to whom it happens, and it is clear that there is no person.
Well, it can express in every way, pattern, shape and form that it does. Expresses this particular pattern or some other pattern, or not express at all, in every way that it pattern, shapes and forms.
Yeah.
Experiences. Who is the experiencer? Experiencing happens. You say, I experience, you've related to the person. But if it's pure experiencing, just like pure seeing, pure hearing, pure tasting, touching, smelling, that's the way it's functioning. But it's claimed by the I or the me, which is a conceptual image, it becomes fictional, conceptual.
Yeah, and then even the concept that some experiences are kind of denying or asserting non-duality. I know it's just a figure of speech. I know you actually have the certainty of no person having the experiences, just a life experiencing itself through.
Well, that's what needs to happen. Investigate who is the experiencer that's having the experience. Who is the seer? Who is the thinker? It's always I or me. But if you see the I or me as just a concept and don't relate it to a concept, it's still seeing, still thinking, still hearing. It's not claimed by anybody or anything, just the functioning. Sun is shining. Who's shining the sun? seasons coming and going. Who's changing the weather? It's happening.
And we have, yes, and she says, and I guess Catherine and James, they both say, it's clear that there is no person. So it was just a nice contribution, thank you. And we have Maureen. Dearest Bob and Kat, lovely to see you both and the whole as well. When you are speaking of recognition and investigation, you've said before that you did not personally do these things, that any imagined doing is conceptual. Mm-hmm. Will you speak more of this? Lots of love.
Yeah, well, I imagined and thought I was born. And when I took on the capacity of reason, I believed I was doing this and doing that. Yeah.
That's a
and I
good example.
turned out to be an alcoholic, but I didn't say when I was a little kid, Daddy, when I grow up I'm going to be a drunk. And the best drunk in the world. I had no idea, but it happened. And I saw there was no way out of it either. I couldn't stop. But there again it took me to where a fellowship where I stopped drinking, and that led me into looking at something spiritual where before I wouldn't believe in anything like that at all. But it took me years later to Nisargadatta, where I recognised the true nature. So I didn't set out to be an alcoholic, but that's the way it turned out. And if it hadn't have turned out that way, I'd have probably never looked into this stuff if I'd have been aboard at all. But it happened the way it happened, because that's how it needs to happen, or how it does happen. No doing on anybody's part.
Yeah, beautiful.
Takes you where it takes you.
And British Julia says, bloody ridiculous. Love it. Great as always, Bob. Relax into it. It is so simple. And happy new now to all.
Yeah. Ridiculous is right.
And Bob says, I love being is not wasing or will being. Bob's on fire today. I can feel it in here in Philippines. And now we got our American Julia, who could actually say it, experiencing. We are experimenting with using my old iPhone to share the meeting on Facebook Live because Android phones turn it, yes, the picture sideways. Unfortunately, battery is low, and if the video stops, this is super why. I apologize to everyone this affects. This will be remedied by the next week, or maybe we can use your iPhone if that happens.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, we can use this one if I find a way to hold it this way rather than that way.
Well, I can always just get an external power source to plug in. It's simple.
Can you lend me my ears?
Yes, my darling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And we have Laura. The gift of desperation. People don't really change without this gift of grace. Yeah. And Janice, Bob, you are so inspirational today. And that's it for the online contribution for now. So we invite you to contribute from here. Anyone would like to start? Julia is holding the stick today. Unfortunately, Dean's not with us. I mean, I hope he is, but it's nothing separate. Jason?
What's going on there?
So what Nisargadatta said is not I am that, but I am thatting. Concurrency.
Because I am that, not only Nisargadatta says, but that's the great mantra, so everybody says that. I am that, and there's nobody who doesn't know that. Because that's the chair you're sitting in, that's the tree that's in the garden, that's the flower, that's the space, that's everything is that. Which through the words we've learnt, we discriminate it with the word, but it's still only the one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, appearing and expressing as everything, which the word seemingly divides, and the word's not the real.
But people attach to the noun of I am that instead of being the I am that-ing.
Yes.
Chew that one.
Yeah.
It's just a translation. The thatness or the existence, the beingness. Rather than say I am that, which then you have to describe what the that is, you could say the only knowing that you ever heard is that you are. That you are. And the original translation of that pharmacy is not I am that, it's that I am. So that I am, that's the only known that I am. I can't deny that I am. And now we can actually select out of the picture all the idea that that is everything. Yes, that is everything. But now even that, the everything nothing, is excluded. But what I can't deny is that I am. But the translation that the mind brings about of thatness or I amness comes into the dualistic language. I and that, or that and I. But that's only the language. Prior to the language, you look in the eye of the animal, you look at the eye of a newborn, and tell me there is no consciousness shining out of these eyes. There is. And there is no translation to that I am or I am that. So that's the simplicity and the beauty of being. If we take the language out of the picture, that obviousness of existence, the fact that I am, can't be taken out of the equation, even without the words. That still shines forth.
This morning I was conversing with a girlfriend of mine. I mean, of course, this me is an illusion. And we were just babbling on a little bit about this illusion of security, and safety. And that, like, in reality, I actually don't know that I might drop dead in 5 seconds of a heart attack. I mean, nobody knows, really. And yet we have this belief somehow that there's going to be another minute or something, or things are going to be a certain way, so we have this illusion of safety and things are security and stability and,
Only when you think about it. They don't exist when you don't think.
I don't even exist when I don't think, but this whole that's complete illusion, and then that's blown when something like... I don't know, something that seemingly threatens it.
Yes.
And then we go in, oh my God, what's going to happen? And what am I going to do? And now I know I'm going to know I have to figure it out in advance. And there's a me that has to figure it all out. And I'm going to have to, oh my God.
Absolutely, yeah. Human drama.
Did anyone have to think about the next breath?
No. I don't have to think about the next breath, and I don't have to know what I'm going to think. That's going to show up or it won't. It might not, Yeah. But my worrying about what the fuck am I going to think about or what am I going to do is not going to help me know what to do, And that's just, there's just this illusion of everything's good. It's all, we don't know. The only thing you do know is that you are. And then everything else is... Yeah, it's just, I think to the degree that we could be really comfortable with this, I have no clue. And just stay in this wide-eyed wonderment of maybe just being. Yeah. That is knowing. I know I am. Anyway. Yeah. You say so much more eloquently, though.
Mitra, did you want to say something? Yeah.
Basically, I mean, in the very beginning when I started this path, I was always wondering what is this true nature or that or whatever people talk about. I haven't yet got it. I mean, when you say I am that, even what is that was a question. So for me, it's just that I am. That's the only thing I know.
That's right.
I don't know what
Well, you've
is.
answered it, haven't you?
That's
Sorry?
it.
You've answered it.
Yeah, that's it,
That's
right?
it.
I am. That's it.
Yeah.
And then, but then it's been a while that I'm wondering what is ego actually. Like, that doesn't make sense, even though I'm so still in the realm of ego, but...
Can you have ego without a thought?
Yeah, so for example, like...
Well, just give me thoughts, but go ahead.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but I mean, what is very strange is, for example, when I say to myself, these 3 weeks that I've been away from you guys, I have to admit that everything is coming up. My craving for addiction and all those obsessive thought, obsessive thinking, worrying, I don't know, nonsense. It's just, before there used to be some gaps. Now there is no gaps. I can't sleep at night, It's just been very uncomfortable. But anyway, and I for example, I thought, well, I listened to a talk, let's just go to the senses, right?
Yes.
Hearing, just to create some gaps, right? As soon as I make that kind of decision, right? Let's just sit for 5 minutes and be with the senses. It's like something in me rebels against this decision. It's like everything gets 100 times more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
If the mind is going like non-stop, 100 kilometers per hour, it's now non-stop 1,000 kilometers per hour, something like that. Like something is rebelling, and I say, well, this is ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I wonder, what is it? Like, what is it? Is it just you say I've heard it's a process, but is it feels like sometimes an enemy, like it's just against, what is this? Like, it doesn't make sense. What is this that is so scared, so fearful? Who is this? I don't get, you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Just doesn't make sense.
But if it's fearful, isn't it pretty obvious that it cares for your safety? Anything that cares, like the fear. Oh, what's going to happen? You're going to lose your mind, or you're going to go crazy, or, if you don't listen to me, I'm having your back, I'm constantly narrating, telling what's good for you. Have the drug, or have this, or have that. Isn't that a voice of something that, of course, has been a little bit misguided and dysregulated? But isn't that the voice of love for the being?
Yes.
Even if there is fear in the voice, oh my God, what's going to happen to you? That is the voice of love. But when you try to give the attention to senses, but this voice is yelling, no, give attention to me, I want to hear, I want to be in the center. Forget about the beautiful music of the birds singing outside. Forget about the beautiful breeze of the wind touching your face. Forget about the sensations in the body. They're not important. What I have to say, I'm protecting your life. If you ignore me, you're going to die. So that's obviously loving to be, isn't it?
It is.
At the same time, of course, it works it causes suffering. Because this one has given credibility. There is a belief going in it. Now suddenly this narrative is believed. Oh, that's true. That's right. There is a future. And that future is dangerous. And if I don't obey that blah blah, then something's going to happen to me. So I is real, future is real. All that dangers become real because they're being believed. So rather than seeing that narrative, that software in the body-mind, as a mechanism to express loving to be protection and survival instinct, you see it as the oracle. You believe it. That's true. This is me. This is I. It is not. When you actually recognize thought for what it is, it's a thought. And nothing more and nothing else. It's not the truth.
So what? No, mine is very quick.
Yeah.
So who is doing this? Who is doing the rebels, and who is
the same one that
The software.
There's
no one but you.
Yeah,
This is all you, Mitra.
Give us a mic.
Everything is you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
so, who is?
Yeah.
Who is? All of this is me.
No, it's the pieces of program. You are the life.
Well, there's this.
So why I'm doing such a...
Who wants to know?
When
Yeah, go give Bob the voice. Yeah.
very
But
simple.
that's a word. That's like,
Let's
that's,
see.
When I goes, he goes.
When I goes,
egos.
he goes.
Not always, yeah, because sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, why sometimes, why, you know, like for me, it's just this heavy energy always is creating chaos. You know?
So sometimes there's a heaviness, yeah, sometimes there's a lightness. If there's not a story, that there shouldn't be the heaviness. Is the heaviness, you probably couldn't even name it heaviness without a story. Like, it would be interesting, it was beautiful you saying about that attempt to kind of sit back in the senses. I have found that that can be a beautiful resting place, that when the senses are completely abided in, the mind has, the mind kind of can't say anything about that. And if it does, that's okay too though. That's just looping. So then we say, oh, looping happening, no problem. Has thoughts. Like when the sky, I mean, it's such an old analogy, Bob, excuse me. But, the sky and then the clouds come. The sky's still there. Yeah. And we can't stop the clouds coming. I mean, good luck trying. Good luck trying to stop the rain. For me, the heat, I'm too pale for all the sun. So, go away, sun. It's not going to work. But the sky's still there. Always. And that's all just coming across and going. The thoughts coming across and going. And what has been found here is when there's an idea that the thought shouldn't be, there's, if I want to call it something, there's suffering.
And what's the sky? What's the sky? Space.
Yeah. So
We're still in space.
Same.
Mm.
But I love the sincerity of the questioning. And
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
That's for reminding me. That's right.
They can now. Yes.
We've all got the same mind, so it's easy. I get it. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitra, I'd like to just add on that as well, that there's something there for you which is aware that that's going on, that the mind is doing that. There is an awareness and a mind doing something, right? Mm-hmm. So who is the awareness? There is an awareness there. And also all of those things of the mind come and go. That's something you can always be sure of, that will pass. And there's something that's aware of that it passes and it comes and goes.
Yes. And all I'm trying is to access that awareness,
Yes.
but because I cannot hold, because my mind is like constantly train of thoughts are coming, I can't stay long enough with the quietness.
What are you trying to acquire awareness for?
Yes.
Are you unaware right now?
No.
Do you need to acquire it? You don't realise when you're trying to get something that's already there. It comes in the pot of who? And that's the problem. You're not unaware right now. You are aware. You can't tell me what awareness is, right? But you know for a fact that you're not unaware.
That's right.
Mm. And that's a beautiful point that Anita brought back, because initially that was Catherine and James asking about it, and Bob highlighted experiences, out of body experience, inside the body experience, like experience of rape or experience of ecstasy, experience of negative thoughts, experience of positive thoughts, experience of desire for addiction, experience of desire for anything else. They're all passing phenomena. They're all happening in the knowing. So you are the space-like awareness, the awareness. You are the sky, like Liz was saying. You are the knowing of it. You are not the voice that is yapping. You are the hearing of it. You are not the cloud that is passing. You are the space of knowing in which the cloud happens. And yes, nothing's excluded, because that space becomes a form. So every form is a transformation of space. This is all happening within you. You are the field of conscious awareness, and everything within the field, the senses and the mind chatting, which is one of the senses, they all happen within the field of knowing. It's easy to forget when the attention goes and gives credibility to that yapping, to that chatter.
But I agree, and even the intellectual reminding, it helps, and I feel like I instantly calm down, but it's an intellectual understanding, and I agree that I'm everything because, I agree, right? But I have to realize that, right? Myself.
No. See, the idea that there is an I that has to realize is just one of the thoughts.
Another game.
In the relaxed, natural state, you can hear the tram passing, even though there is no I that can hear it. In the relaxed, natural state, you are aware of the sounds, sights, everything, even though you don't actually labor everything that you see and you know. The relaxed, natural state is the state in which the awareness effortlessly move to wherever it is attracted. But the contrived sort of habitual mode of operation, default mode for humans, is to focus in thinking and ignore the other senses. But even realizing that this habit is being executed comes from that relaxed natural state. And we have contribution from Bill, words of Nisargadatta. Once you are convinced that you cannot say truthfully about yourself anything except I am, and that nothing can be pointed at, can be yourself, your need for the I am is over. You are no longer intent on verbalizing what you are. All you need is to get rid of the tendency to define yourself. All definitions apply to your body only and to its expressions. Once this obsession with the body goes, you will revert to your natural state spontaneously and effortlessly. The only difference between us is that I am aware of my natural state while you are bemused. So this is, and Oliver says here, question. After meditation on empty space, there is a feeling of having something missing, being unable to define myself or the world. That is, I hope you heard what Bill was quoting on defining oneself or the world. From this is a disorientation, and this discomfort arises, which I respond to by trying to regain identity. How to stay comfortable with complete disorientation. Natural state is aware of disorientation. Is that natural state uncomfortable with what it is aware of? Recognize that there is a level of relaxation in which discomfort arises, and that discomfort is a passing phenomenon, while what you really are at the bottom of your heart is the knowing of it, which is neither comfortable nor uncomfortable. And this is where you want to abide, not in the superficial sense of body is cold, body is hot, body is in pleasure or comfort or discomfort. And this also answers Mitra's question.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, that was very relevant, because when you said there is no need for realization, and if you relax into senses, I know, because I can't relax. That's my issue. I cannot relax.
You don't have to. You realize that you realize that whatever tension is happening, it is happening in the natural space-like awareness that is always already relaxed. You recognize the tension from the no tension, from the relaxed natural state. You don't have to relax. You can't do that.
In fact, one game you could play if you want to is to get really intense.
Stick with it.
And up. See how tense you can get. You know, just
Say that again.
well, one game you can play if you like is if you're trying to get rid of tension, is just to invite it and bring on the tension. Get as tense as you possibly can. And I mean, if you do it, it's going to just, as soon as the excluding of it, the not wanting of it, you know, so there's tension. So let's be really, really tense. I remember whinging to Bob once, years ago. I was head of a very big department and I come in saying, oh, Bob's like, how are you? I'm like, I'm so busy. And Bob's like, so be really busy. And you know, I went to work the next week and I just was really busy without an idea that I shouldn't be busy. So busyness still happens, but there's an ease in the busyness thing. Like whatever is there, it's that too. I like the verbing of it. But yeah, it's all that him.
That's the point.
It's all happening. Yeah. Yeah. But that can be, instead of trying to make it go away, you know, like, come at me. Bring it. Yeah.
I'm just going to state something as well, that sometimes there may be a physiological reason why that brain won't shut up.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
There can be something on the body or within the body where the brain just shuts up, does its thing, goes crazy.
Yeah.
And that is not to be denied as well, right?
Yes.
That is not, and no matter what your attempt to do anything to see through that or to accept that, there's still something that just goes wild. It's wild. So that's where I think a lot of the yoga practices and those things can be extremely useful in that circumstance.
I have
Also looking at B-group vitamins and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
B-group vitamins and all sorts of things
What
like
vitamins?
that. B-group.
B-group.
Yeah, you know.
Choline and inositol also help.
Yeah, and
B12 and B6 and B3 and all
yeah,
that.
that's right. So that you know, you can
Be
be
happy.
completely conscious
Be gone.
that your mind is that's
I mean, I feel that something is tapping inside me all of the time. Everything.
yeah. So there, you know, so sometimes there's a history of trauma which is really activated, something from the subconscious or from all different parts of the mind. There is an awareness that that's there, but it can't stop it. You know, you can't finish it. It's an acceptance of it, but that acceptance is severe suffering. It can be, you know, when that stage is. So I still believe that there are some things that can be done to help manage that kind of brain that won't shut up, torments you endlessly. You know, see, traumatic or, you know, this is my therapist background, but, or, you know, some good yoga techniques. Consistently done, I think you might find that very useful.
I'll ask you more about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What Anita was talking about, I met this wise man the other day, absolutely relaxed, wide awake, looking at everything around him. He was 6 months old. His name was Peregrine. He's called Pip. I think Peregrine means
It's a falcon.
A falcon, yeah. And he was as sharp as a falcon. And he had this beautiful face. It was just reflecting light and transmitting light. And he was introduced and he looked at me and he just looked right through. And nothing, you know, and he looked around and nothing fazed him. He was just absolutely at rest.
Ever fresh.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
Julia, did you want to speak?
What's coming to my head is something that I was listening to Alan Watts once, and he was talking about, I guess, a conversation he'd had with Ram Dass. Ram Dass was very attached to the space, the emptiness. And I guess Alan Watts was being accused of being too in his head. And I think the attachment to either is a problem. It's like to seeing that there's a me that's attached to any of it. So when you take a look and you can, I just think that it can be, it's all simplified. When Bob says to me, right, who's wanting to figure it out, or who's wanting to drop the ego? Who thinks there's an ego? It's coming back to that who, or who's wanting to do this? And then to me, it's just that simple. And when you explore it, but you have to do it with genuine curiosity. And when you're exploring, well, I do. It's my ego. There you see my ego. There's a my. What's the my that is the ego? Like, take a look and see if you can find it. And I just find that this. Can you find it?
No.
No.
Looked 100 times.
Yeah. So then maybe which it's like Santa Claus. Okay. You know, it's like Santa Claus is. Yeah, you could see that. And then what's the problem? I mean, you're like, oh, I've noticed that I guess it's disturbing sometimes when I see somebody I love or myself in particular. When my money disappears, very big problem. But when it's that my, if somebody in Zimbabwe loses all their money, it doesn't affect me as much because it's not my money that's been lost or my father or it's that me that's my ego, and that ego doesn't exist without a thought. There is no one to have an ego. What is that anyway? Isn't it just a description?
My question was.
The ego? Isn't that just an idea? I think, you know what it is? I think if you were to give it a definition, it's the act. It's an ing. It's egoing. And there's no ego entity. There is no thing. It's a description of an activity of identification of a me that does stuff. There's egoing, okay? But there's no ego. And there's apparent egoing, because it's coming and going as we speak, so it's gone now. Where is it? It's not here, right? So it's an apparent process. It appears. It seems like there's but in reality, when you look at it, you go, no, there's a good definition. I like it. It's the activity of identifying. But when you see it right now, like, take a look. Who's got an ego? Where is it? Maybe it doesn't exist. And I think it's really helpful to just ask who has an ego. Or who gives a crap? Who's wanting to figure it out? And then Bob always points it back to that. And he makes it so simple. And then I think that's like, if you want something to do, you could just ask who gives a crap. Or I do like the question, are you that? See, this awareness is another word for I am. Isn't it? It's aware. If I'm aware, there's just this sense of being. But then we attach labels to what make it special or holier than thou or whatever. But you are this awareness, right? So you could see all the drama unfolding and the thoughts and the emotions and the feelings and the stories and the comparisons. Julia did it a few moments ago. Oh, he's so much better than me at explaining this stuff. And I saw the look. It's like, there it is. Okay. Caught it. Okay. Who does any of this? Can you find? Yeah, I can.
I can't.
No. So then who gives a crap? And now you're back to freedom, aren't you? Yeah. And it's a simple question. Who cares? Who wants to figure it out? Is this even real? No. It's all appearing in thought, which is not here now. That's always about what seemingly was. It's not here. Just this right now. Is it that bad?
No. When I'm here, it's much better than home. Right. I'll tell you.
I'm sorry?
When I'm here, it's much better than home. When I have that contraction.
When you go back into home, and you go home, and now we got stories about home, and then people, and then now I'm a mother, or I'm a sister, or I'm a this, and now I go back to this. That's what I am. I'm a mother, you see, and I have a role, and I've got a duty, and if I don't do this now, I'm not enough. Blah, blah, blah. Back there, you can re-ask yourself, right, am I a mother? Or am I a sister? Am I a daughter? Was that what I am? And then you go, am I that? Can I find the one who is? Yeah. So are you that drama, that role, or are you that which is aware? Are you an ego, or are you that which is aware? And now who cares? Yeah.
No.
And what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it?
That's true.
Isn't it perfect? Including at home, even if that shows up, there's an invitation. Ah, there it is. Yeah. Oops. And I find it easier to laugh at myself, even if there is nobody to laugh at. You know what I mean? Just because beating myself up over the fact that I've got fucking thoughts which have been programmed by something other than me. You know what I mean? Or this body mind that I'm not. So what? It's going to happen. I don't know. It's to the degree that I'm beating myself up and saying, well, no, I should be enlightened. I've been hanging around with Sailor Bob for 4 fucking years. You would think by now, I would have been walking on water or something. There would be no fucking thoughts. I know it's all bullshit. Well,
Did you want to say something? Bob is laughing. Come on, go on.
Yeah.
4 fucking years.
4 fucking years.
That's way too long.
You're a failure?
What was going through your head when you were looking at the phone? Because the expression on your face was frozen, and it was I had to control myself not to laugh really loud.
Yeah. When I was looking at the phone?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, the battery was dying.
Yeah, or whatever.
And I was worried for the people. It was the battery on the phone.
Yeah, the look on your face.
It's like, oh shoot!
Oh wow, she's really into that.
No, I was looking at I'm worried. I'm thinking about the people who are watching this live. There's more people probably online than there are in the room.
Yes.
So I was just thinking about all those folks, and we're right now we're using an 8-year-old iPhone or something like that, and I didn't. It just needs a new battery. That's a simple fix.
Anyway, hopefully Dean will recover, and I have a couple of online contributions. Dean, we miss you. We hope you're going to get better soon. And you might?
No, yeah.
Because we have better things than iPhone issues. Jasmine says, it is kind of hard to say. Perhaps you can think of your body as a robot and all other bodies as well, and you are the invisible operator of all of the bodies. You could say, you're the electricity operating all the light globes and toasters and everything, but perhaps if you don't think, you're even better off. And excellent advice to that's Laura. And now we have, Bill says, no mind is not experienced. All humans out there sort of know what that means. A walk, a task, an event can just pass by without you, and then suddenly the world seemingly appears. It can be some time after a walk, a task, an event. Something will activate your attention, like tripping on a branch, completing the task or finishing the event. But all the time during the walk, the task, the event, there was no mind, no you. In the same way, the body and mind is not there. Suddenly, some bodily event, pain in the knee, or tingly food, or mental event, call from the X, grabs your attention. No mind dominates until an experience is lit up or activated by you being consciousness. That is why the appearance, the body and mind, and all events are the 10,000 thing, is and is not. That is why there is no birth, there is no death. Nothing is happening
for no one, only emptiness, only fullness, spontaneously and ceaselessly. You, as consciousness, focus down and creates the apparent body and the mind and the world. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the appearance. You are the light that illuminates or activates everything, and is just all happening and not happening. Oh, beautifully said. Thank you, Bill.
That was beautiful.
And that is a description of someone abiding, or the abiding in, because there's no one there, abiding. This experiencing. And you have the same, you could describe it in your words, because the experiencing that is going on through your body, eyes and mind is the same. It really is. It's just a translation and relating to the self, to the I. Oh, I have the ego, I have to get rid of it. That's just a narrative. If you experience, see, there is a thought arising, there is an event arising, there is an action arising. Occasionally, if there is a pain, there is a body arising. How much do you think about the back of your head until you hit it? It's not even there in the conscious experience. So that is how it's a beautiful description of direct experience, experiencing of the world, seen and narrated without need of relating to imagined self, because imagined self has to be imagined first, and Bill doesn't have to do it anymore wonderfully so. And Richard answered to Oliver, may I ask what methodology do you employ for this? I'm checking out that given the sutras quoted in the shorter Discourse of Emptiness by Dhammakarsi Satyahana Anatta, Richard. So Richard had a private question to Oliver. I don't know how you two can connect with each other, maybe through private messaging. And Laura says, audio has been difficult. Sorry for that, Laura. And one of seeming downsides to recognizing that you are not the body and not the mind is that suddenly everybody around you seems completely insane. Oh, that's a separation. Yeah, well, okay, that's how. Yeah, especially people. Especially people who you are very familiar with. But it is not insanity, it's just ignorance of what they actually are. But there are no others. It is just patterns of energy expressing in consciousness. Forgive them for they know not what they are, what they do. That's Jesus. And JB says, Happy New Year to everyone, and thank you for excellent steel bowl. And Oliver answering to Richard? No, to himself. This time the focus was on breath, on space in which breath happens, space which makes it possible. And Bradley, it is made into something real by trying to do anything about it. It's merely personal thinking performing its original function as servant, and its later function as master, desperately trying to keep the story of you alive. Ensure the temptations of the devil as you are sent heaven, and watch the appearance of thought like birds in the sky of your mind. Lovely. That's that.
We got a meeting tomorrow on Zoom.
Yep.
The details are on the website if you've never seen this before.
Thank you.
And we have a meeting this afternoon.
No, it's AA, it's 12 steps, so it's not a non-duality meeting.
Let's have another drink meeting.
Do I have time for another question?
Yeah.
Oh, just finished. Another question?
Yes, I want to say something here. A good one, because a lot of people cogitate it all. Your mind is a tool. So rather than thinking, I am that, if you know your mind is a tool, i.e. a toothbrush, would you ask your toothbrush who you are? Put the toothbrush down. Your mind is a toothbrush.
Okay, Anita. Anita.
Over there.
Oh, over there, sorry.
I'm actually looking for a practical answer more than an intellectual answer. And it's probably very similar to what you're talking about. There's experiences going on with me where an expansion of consciousness, I guess, is the right word, that's going on. And that's okay. During that, there's the cessation of Tasha. There is no real Tasha here. And that's cool. But when that sort of folds back in and there becomes more of a focal point, there's absolute fucking panic inside the mind and the body. And then that changes as well. Like when you were talking, Bob, it was like as if, it's not that I was you, but there's the awareness of
Everything's happening inside you.
It's like as if I'm Bob talking through Bob. And it's like, how can that be? Because Bob would think different to Tasha. And then there was like, I don't know your name, the stitching on your jeans, it was like, there's an awareness and a knowingness that converge. It's almost like seeing and knowing converge as one through the stitching of your jeans. And that's all okay because there's a cessation of Tasha during that time. But when Tasha starts to come back in, there's fucking panic. So my question is a practical question. What can I do to settle the character down? Obviously we're talking about setting the vagus nerve. But I want in real time. Because when it's happening, like the other day I was driving and it was happening and it was almost like, no. Red light, tram coming, I'm driving, and then suddenly Tasha comes back in. How do you navigate that?
If you didn't have Tasha, you would have crashed the car and you'd be dead.
Yeah, but how do you navigate the coming in and the coming out? The phasing in and phasing out?
Just more concepts, aren't there?
You get used to it.
But memory goes.
You get used to it.
Mind goes, which is all okay if I'm not driving.
You get used to it.
I'd like to add something.
Yeah, but I just want a practical answer.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on
I
here.
don't need intellectual crack trap. I can do my own intellectual crack trap. I want practical.
The same thing is going on here, and everyone's experiencing everything in a different way. So, our consciousness at the moment, and there's a lot of it going on in the world. Everyone's going through similar things, and we're all attributing sicknesses and other things to it. But it's what's happening here, and I can assume is happening in a lot of other places, is the consciousness is starting to come back to that silence. So it's detaching from the dream, from the rigidity of the person, the concepts and everything that's out here. So if you look at it positionally, like we've been living our whole life in the dream, a fixed sort of person with fixed beliefs in the dream, owning all this, we're doing all this, and slowly now what's happening is, for whatever reasons, the way the beautiful life is unfolding, we're coming back to our true nature, and this silence that we're coming back to, and it isn't just one position, it's a multitude of letting goes, you know. So as we're coming, you know, releasing from the person and coming back to there can be a middle ground of spaciousness where you're knowing the person and you're knowing more of the silence, more of the self. And then there's more back this way where you're coming back towards yourself, where you start losing, like you're saying, any grasp on it seems that way because there's a transition happening. You're starting to lose grasp on your hold on the dream or your functionality. Everything's starting to disperse, and it's scary to the ego. The ego's like, what the F is going on here? Because it's a massive, and it's all just a dream. And this is the beautiful thing about it. It's all this transition, letting go from there. It does feel like a death in a way. It is a simulation of dying, like a physical death that a person would go through. Is what is happening to a lot of people now with this letting go. So You have to be gentle with yourself. You have to, if you feel like you're starting to get, loose from your body, pull over, take some time out, and try and when you sort of do go there, try and stay as relaxed as you can, because every time you come out of it, you're fine. You're still always here. It's still the same you. It's just an experience. Everything is just an experience. It's a massive experience. It's overwhelming. You're going from things that you know, things that are fixed, things that you've understood your whole life to WTF, like what the fuck is this? You're going from something that you have apparently controlled your whole life to something that is intangible. You can't even describe what you are, in essence. So as you're coming back to your silence, your stillness, all this sort of stuff, there's everything here, because you're going from, if I can try and describe it, and everyone describes it different because they can and they will, because everything is happening. So you're going from this out there, which is a scattered version of the dream, patterning, shaping. It's a deterioration of your light. So the light that we all are, this pure light, which is the first manifestation out of that silence, is deteriorating into everything, which is you. So now you're coming back. So everything's coming back through the process of letting go and accepting and just being, which is not always the case because we're always fighting what's happening. That's the sort of resistance that we have and all the suffering that comes along with this awakening or this recognition of the self. It's everything is happening. So everything that's scattered out there and shaped into every possible thing is all coming back. So when someone says, "Oh, what's happening?" everyone will give you a different explanation because everything is happening. Everything is coming back to its source, which is you. But it's overwhelming because we're trying to let go of the personal consciousness, the personal way of operation, and going from that focused person back into a universal sort of sense of being. And it's overwhelming because everything's going on. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The deeper you go into yourself, the more ridiculous it is. But then it's just a story as well from the person. To the self, there's nothing but the self. There's no story to tell. Nothing's ever happening. And all it is now is just what's happening with a lot of us is we're trying to normalize. We're trying to build a level of trust in here, so we can So even the little noisy person can feel good and go, well okay, nothing is going to hurt me here, because you realise I am this. The more you come back here, the more you normalise what you are, and you might call it an experience or whatever. Everything's an experience. Everything outside of us this way is an experience. That's it. Any movement of energy, anything that's ever happened, anything that may happen, anything is an experience, but it's hard to grasp it because we're coming from the person where only things are real. Consciousness is something that we don't usually touch on, especially in the Western world. So it's all very foreign, but it's fine. Just keep trusting, give yourself as much space, try not to make stories about it, and just keep coming back here and resting here. And the more you come here, you'll see that everything's okay, because you just start giving yourself hugs internally, and you'll be, oh well, I was in this yesterday and everything was fine, and you might notice, well, I even came out of it even at a better resonance. Even everything outside of me now is happening in a much easier way, in a much more loving way, and it's all it is this acceptance which is happening inside of you. It will start to resonate. So don't try and fix anything outside. That's, so
it's about building trust, recognition patterns inside the body. Is that what you mean?
Not even inside the body. Beyond that. What you are,
not body.
What you are before the body. You're not the body. But our attachment to the body. So now we're having this imaginary, because even here, I was trying to explain to myself, I'm like, so what's happening? At the moment, I feel like a trans-dimensional being. I'm going from the world back here and further this way. So I'm doing this dance, going back and forth. eventually, when you start feeling more comfortable back here, without all the apparent safety of the person, then you'll just relax a little bit more, and you'll be able to see. But for me, you just trying to keep your attention on that which is knowing all of it. So what's actually happening now is, like I say in the Bible, light unto itself. So the light that you are, the attention, it's a game of attention and percentages. At the moment, the percentage of our attention is all out here. And slowly, it's coming back. And eventually you'll have enough percentage of your attention, if you will, if you want to put it that way, it's just the way of saying it. You'll have enough percentage of your attention back here. So you'll always be knowing yourself. You'll always be knowing that you exist. You always know this.
See, I find it confusing. Sorry to stop you. I find it confusing. Like, when you have the yellow roses and you go, oh yeah, it's not that I am the yellow roses. It's just that there's no separation. And then when you have someone stitching on their jeans, it's not I am stitching on the jeans or my am the stitching on the jeans. It's just there's no separation. Then when that stops and there's the coming back into the centralised Tasha-ism, it's like, whoa.
Yeah,
get me to a shrink now.
It's just a clash. It's just a clash of your two different perspectives, the personal perspective and the truth, more and more of the truth that you are. So the personal will have to bow down to the truth. There's no other way. It's the surrender part of it. So it's just a natural process. Don't feel bad. Just relax into it, and the more you can. Stay here.
Look, guys, we have 3 important information here from Dean, and we're going to go and continue casual discussion in Sophia's. Yeah. And for future, people are actually leaving, because it is actually nice to start the conversation during the meeting. People set up their plans. Okay, yeah. So Dean says first time up, we'll have lunch. That was 15 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago he says, love you guys, see you next week with the giant gong. I wish I had the giant gong. So yes, it is also nice. Sorry. And we are all welcome to join, have casual, really nice catch up in lunch settings in Sophia's. And we are here every week. And
you'll be here online tomorrow.
Yes. Yes, and those are important questions, and they are beautiful discussions, so we don't want to dismiss them. We want to bring them on.
2 minutes before the meeting ends, not the good time.
Give them quality attention when everyone is still fresh and still ready to receive. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Happy New Year.